Are you struggling to update a label in a cell outside of the cellForRowAtIndexPath method? It can be really frustrating when things don't work as expected. But don't worry, you're in the right place. Today, we're going to tackle this issue together. I totally get it. You want to update your cell's label, but every time you try, you run into errors. It's a common problem that many developers face, and you're definitely not alone in this. Here's the specific situation we're looking at. One user asked, "How can I refer to a cell outside of cellForRowAtIndexPath?" They mentioned trying to use the dequeue method in another function, but kept getting errors. Sound familiar? Let's dive into the details. So, what's going on here? When you try to access a cell outside of the cellForRowAtIndexPath method, you might be running into issues because the cell hasn't been created yet or is not in the visible state. This can lead to unexpected nil values or outdated data. And stick around. I have a great tip at the end that will help you manage your cells more effectively. You won't want to miss it. To update a label in a cell outside of the cellForRowAtIndexPath method, the user should first ensure they have a reference to the correct cell. This can be done by using the index path to access the cell directly from the table view. Next, the user should check if the cell is not nil before trying to update the label. This prevents any unexpected nil errors when accessing the cell's properties. If the user needs to update the label from a different function, they should ensure that the table view is properly reloaded after making changes to the data source. This can be done by calling the reload data method on the table view. Finally, if the user is still facing issues, they should consider using a delegate or a closure to pass data back to the cell. This approach allows for better separation of concerns and can help manage updates more effectively. Fun fact, did you know that the first mobile phones were so big they could barely fit in your pocket? Now we carry powerful computers in our hands. Technology has come a long way, just like our coding skills. Now, let's look at the answers provided by other users. An alternative approach suggested by a user involves updating the data model first. After that, you can refresh the specific cell by reloading it. Let's take a look at an answer from another user. This user suggests that instead of using dequeue reusable cell with identifier outside of cellForRowAtIndexPath, you should use cellForRowAt to access the cell directly. Now, let's see a response from a different user. An alternative solution provided by another user is to use the cellForRow method. You can refer to a specific cell by using the code view.cellForRow IndexPath row section as custom cell. Let's take a moment to review another user's answer. An alternative approach suggests avoiding touch-up inside targets to prevent issues when scrolling quickly. Instead, use the touchdown event to minimize problems. The user also recommends using tap gestures for better control. When the view disappears, remember to remove the tap gesture to avoid memory leaks. That's all on that answer. Let's take a look at another one. An alternative approach shared by another user involves safely referencing a custom cell outside of cellForRowAtIndexPath. They suggest using the cellForRow method with a specific index path to access the cell directly. It's important to note that this method only allows access to visible cells in the table view. Here's the tip I promised. Always keep your cell management organized. Using delegates or closures can save you a lot of headaches down the road. Trust me, it makes a huge difference. And there you have it. You should now have a better understanding of how to refer to a cell outside of cellForRowAtIndexPath. Remember, organizing your code can lead to fewer errors and smoother updates. If you found this helpful, hit that subscribe button for more tips.